Hi, in this video we'll be looking at multiplying decimals by a whole number. Alright, well, how do we actually go about multiplying 27.389 by 6, the whole number 6? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to take the number that we are going to be multiplying by 6 and actually just write it at the top. The whole number 6 that we are going to be multiplying this number by, we can actually just put in this place value over here, because all we're going to simply do is multiply out and then we're going to insert our decimal place at the end. So let's go through that whole process. Right, so first of all, 6 times 9 we know is 54. So we'll just write our 54 in here. So that's the 5 and that's the 4. Next we say 6 multiplied by 8 is 48. And we add the 5, so we get 53. So we put the little 5 over there, and we put our 3 in that place. Next we say 6 multiplied by 3, 6 3s are 18, plus we're going to add the other 5, so then we end up with 23. So our 2 this time we put over there, and our 3 goes in there. Now don't worry about the decimal place at the moment. We'll deal with it at the end. Alright, so we just carry on to the next number. So 6 multiplied by 7 is 42, and we need to add the other 2 over there, so that becomes 44. So our 4 goes in there, and we're going to put our 4 under the 7, okay, at the moment. And then we're going to say, what is 6 multiplied by 2? Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Adding another 4, and that gives us 16. So we put our 1 and our 6 in there. Right, now to finalize our multiplication of decimals, we need to look at this whole sum and count how many decimal places we've got in the sum. So there's our decimal place. We've got 1, 2, and 3 in this number, but this number doesn't have any. Alright, so what I like to do right at the beginning of when I'm doing my sum, I actually just like to put 3, and I put in a circle, and that tells me straight away I have 3 decimal places in my answer. Alright, so I have a look at this answer down here, and I will put my decimal place in over here, for example, and I will say, well, now I've got 3 decimal places, so I need to move my decimal place 3 places to the left. 1, 2, and 3. So my decimal place is going to end up in here. Alrighty, so my answer is in fact going to be 164 decimal place, or 0.334. Alright. And finally, what I also like to do is I like to check the reasonableness of my answer. So I'm just going to take the whole numbers, say 27, but I'm actually just going to round it down to 25. And I'm going to say, well, what are 6 lots of 25? All right, well, if I go 6 multiplied by 25, that is 150. Alrighty, so is 150 close to 164? Well, yes, it is. So this answer should actually be pretty accurate. You could also, of course, round 27 up to 30, and you could say, well, what is 6 multiplied by 30? And 6 multiplied by 30 gives me 180. And once again, is 164 close to 180? Well, yes, it is. So I can be pretty certain that, in fact, my answers are correct. Okay. Right, well, here's one for you to have a go at. Multiply 27.389 by 26. Now be careful, that's a double digit over there. Remember double digit multiplication. See what you can figure out. Put the video on pause and come back and check when you're ready. Alright, well, how did you go? Hopefully you set the sum out correctly. So that'll be 27, and put the decimal in there, 389, and multiplied by 26, and draw your line. And I've calculated that in this whole sum over here, I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places only. Alright, so my answer at the end is going to have a decimal place 3 places in. Alright, so the first line obviously is you're multiplying your ones, so 6 times 9, etc., etc., etc. And obviously, when we do the 20, our 0 for our 20 comes over here, and then 2 times 9 is 18, etc., etc., etc. And then we add this number and this number together, and we end up with this number over here. And of course, we need to add our 3 decimal places in, so 1, 2, 3, there's our decimal place. So if you got the answer as 712.114, you got it absolutely correct. Well done. Now there is another way of doing this multiplication. If we have 27 with this decimal place 389, multiplying it by 26, when we multiply out our ones, we can in fact, if we wanted to, put that decimal place in there, but we need to make sure that we put our decimal underneath each other. Alrighty. And likewise, when we get to this particular line over here, so multiplying the tens, we can also put our decimal place in straight away. And likewise, when we get to the answer, we can put our decimal place in. And then quite simply, we know that we have 3 decimal places up here, and our answer therefore has to have 3 decimal places. Alright, and that's pretty much all there is to multiplying a decimal by a whole number. Alrighty, well done.